news.
Thank you, my brother.
Is this a regular communique you've issued, or you've had a meeting like what you usually do and then decide amongst members that this is the way to go? Can you tell us the forum for deciding on the communication in relation to this utility tariff increase?
Okay. Um, this communique came under an emergency steering committee meeting.
Okay.
If you recall, we issued a press statement last week and indicated that we will have an emergency steering committee meeting today to look at the way forward. So it's coming from the steering committee meeting held today under our emergency procedure.
So you are vice chairman of TUC, but TUC isn't the only group in this. Can you enlighten us more on who else is involved in this announcement?
Okay, so the tariff discussion has nothing to do with the tripartite committee that looks at the wage issue, and has nothing to do with the wage issue per se. This has to do with PURC's processes and procedures and what it has considered in coming up with the tariff that it has announced to implement come 1st January. And we have analyzed the procedure being used by PURC, and as TUC, we feel that there are some flaws in the processes that need to be corrected. So it has nothing to do with the tripartite committee.
Okay. Does TUC or Organized Labour have a chair at the table where these things are decided, just like you do with the tripartite committee? Are you invited at any point when this particular increment or reduction is done?
Okay. So somewhere in October, no, I think September, if my recollection is right, PURC invited TUC leadership to a meeting at Aliza Hotel to discuss some proposals under consideration by Ghana Water Company and then the ECG. And this was a very broad stakeholder engagement, and it was just within the TUC family. At that meeting, we made it quite clear to them that we will need a proper tabling of the issues so we can look at it at our committee level. TUC works with structures. So we have a technical committee that looks at things like this when they come up. So at that meeting, we agreed that PURC should give us their proposals. Our technical committee will look at it, and then we would reconvene and interrogate the issues. So we agreed that there will be a further meeting to look at the meeting proposal that they brought. And that was it. Then somewhere last week, we received notice from PURC that they will want to engage us on 8th December, that is today, as part of the processes to look at the tariff adjustment. Only for them to announce a new tariff on 2nd December, when you have given us an indication that you will engage us on 8th December to look at this tariff. And we find this quite unacceptable and not fair to our social dialogue partnership.
Okay. It's understood that you have a difficulty with going into your pockets, and when I say I'm sure your organization would have various members, associations will have various members. I'm referring to the members. So you're saying that it's difficult to pay for these utilities, and that's why you do not approve of the increase. But have you considered the fact that these utility service providers have to work, and in operation they will need these payments? And in fact, they always say that what they ask for is way, way, way beyond what they are actually given. If you consider the proposals they always send to the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, How do you expect Ghana Water Limited and ECG to operate if they do not charge the consumer?
Okay. And then I also put it to you, must it be always from the consumer?
Consumer consumes,
brother,
so he must pay.
Yes, let's look at it realistically. We don't doubt that, for instance, Ghana Water needs much more to, as it were, make our water bodies, our Galamsey water bodies, quite pollutable. And so we have no difficulty at all with what ECG or what Ghana Water would require. But they all operate under the laws of this country. First and foremost, there is, for PRC, it has a formula in coming up with such things. So its quarterly adjustment, it takes into consideration some variables: inflation, the exchange rate, cost of fuel, and then the cost of energy mix. These are the four main variables that the law allows PRC to look at in its quarterly adjustments. Now, for each major tariff adjustment as it has done now, it brings into other variables like cost of operations, cost of HR, maintenance, plus the four other variables. Who interrogates these variables? And must the cost always be pushed to the forwarder? So we're not doubting that Ghana Water or ECG don't need funds to maximize their operation. In this country, when push comes to shove, government finds money to do other things. And so we said, let's interrogate these variables and see which of these can either be deferred to government and which of these can be pushed down to the consumer. And also know that the consumer also must have an ability to pay. And so these discussions are what we were dealing with until the process was truncated, and then we were surprised with the announcement that came. So I must say that we are not against technically Ghana Water needing resources to give us water. No. But everything that must be done should be done in the context of the law. If you recollect, the third quarter tariff adjustments that came, it was very obvious that at that time the inflation was very down, the exchange rate was very low, and in the matrix would have gotten some relief for workers or consumers. But we all kept quiet, and then there were adjustments, upward adjustments for the fourth quarter. This time around also, we are in the process of interrogating the variables. So together, we come up with what we feel is realistic for the Ghanaian worker to pay. But if you impose this and you allow this to happen, what we are saying is that from henceforth, PRC will have the sole mandate to impose and to decide without anyone making input. And that's what the law or the favors of the law had in mind for this process.
So if I understood you have no problem with the utility service providers asking for an increase. Do you have a difficulty with the percentage, or you are having a difficulty with the fact that the customer has to pay? You want the payments given to government? Can you explain that? Do you want the percentage reduced or completely taken off? And who should pay if not you and I?
Okay, so our difficulty is in twofold. One, we are saying that the process and the procedure was not exhaustive. We were in as a team trying to come up with a fair, realistic tariff that we can even explain to our members. That process was truncated abruptly, and these tariffs were announced. And for us, that is not respectful. It's not in the best interest of fairness in our partnership with PRC. Again, the rate that has come. Government just increased wages by 9%, effect payable from 1st January. these rates have not even been paid to workers. Come 1st January, the poor worker is going to pay extra on his or her utilities. We are saying that you give us 9% to cushion us. So you give us 9% with the left hand, with the right hand, you are bringing us 60% water, 9 ECG. What is the impact of this on the 9% wage increment you're giving us?
But
I think this is a fair question that should be analyzed.
But Doc, that cannot be fair. If your salary was 5,000 and you've been given 9% increment in your wages, it's not the same thing as if you used to pay 100 cedis on electricity and now you are being told to pay 15 or 9% extra on it. I'm not sure. It means that what you have been given as a cushion is way bigger than what you have been asked to cough up.
I don't know whether your salaries are within the 5,000 ranges, but I can tell you that in the public service where we organize, 5,000 salary wage is for somebody in the managerial bracket. Come and check the salaries for those on single spine. And so if you are comfortable at CTFM and you are in the 5,000, then you can apply the ratios.
Yeah, but you see, if you say that just a second, if you say that someone is in single spine and for that matter their salary may be low, 9% is 9% of that figure anyway. Now, the 15% or 9% increment is also of the amount you consume. So you cut your coat according to your side. And again, we do know that there's a bracket within I remember when I was learning how to read meters back in my maths class, they taught us that there's a range from 0 to 50 points where they paid nothing. So if you are, for instance, on the leap, chances are that your water tariff or your water and electricity tariff may actually be in the negatives. Is that not correct?
I am not the ECG worker, and I don't want to go into that part of the argument. What I'm telling you is that we are all supposed to protect the law. And the law is quite clear as to how PURC should operate. Wouldn't it be of interest to you if PURC is doing something outside its mandate? Government has announced 50% for water. Is it government's mandate to announce utility? So please, let's be quite straight to what the law requires.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that PURC, in its own wisdom, started engagement processes with TUC. Why they halted and why they chose to come and announce these tariffs without exhausting the processes must be answered.
So your demand now is to be invited back to the negotiation table to discuss this further, and not necessarily to say that you are not allowed to increase. Is that fair? Or you are saying that don't increase for now until we finish with the negotiations?
Our demands were quite straightforward in the press release we gave out. We said government should halt the
implementation
tariff, and then they should come back and engage as we agreed.
Okay.
And so that is all we are saying.
Just to ask you directly, what percentage would be ideal for you if the increment were announced by?
That will depend on what we come up with at the technical committee level. It's not up to me to say this is fair.
Very well.
Whatever it is that we come up with, we must also see what other means can we get funds to subsidize or to assist Ghana Water or ECG so that the entire burden is not shifted to the consumer.
Very well.
So
thank you.
There are options to look at.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you also, and my warm greetings to your audience.
Appreciate it. That's Dr. Ken Cheneboa Kodia. He's Vice Chairman of the Trade Union Congress, members of